his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
A few moments later.
Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
So I want to give you an update today on the ridiculous and pathetic political stunt that Democrats tried to pull on the Epstein files. And we unfortunately did see some Republicans either fall for it, take the bait, or essentially just be used here as political props to fake the veneer of some type of bipartisanship, when in reality, this was just a gigantic anti-Trump op. For instance, you can see the pictures right here of Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking in front of a crowd where the signs in the background say what, right? He is on the list. He there referring to Donald Trump. Another one on the left says neuter grand old pedophiles, which is essentially supposed to be a shot at the GOP. There's another one that I believe shows the picture of Trump and Epstein from back in the 90s. But my issue with this was not that it's an anti-Trump op. It was that it was a big and gigantic nothing burger. That is what is most important here to point out, because essentially, in a very ironic way, what happened here was that after months of making the accusation, of course, that the Trump administration is running a coordinated cover-up when it comes to the Epstein files. They won't release the list, right? Release the list, release the list. How many times did we hear this? And saying, oh, we're going to be the ones who are transparent, right? That referring here to a coalition of mostly Democratic lawmakers. Well, today, in front of an audience online and on TV of millions of people, this was their big, gigantic chance to do exactly what they were claiming. And yet, after spending hours making speeches, all you got at the end was them essentially saying, we're going to release our own list if Trump and his government won't do it. But guess what? They never did. They never actually released the list. And on top of that, you see all these like vague, cryptic statements or threats against Trump, but no actual accusations or serious evidence. That's why I say it was a nothing burger that was just designed to be an anti-Trump op. Frankly, I think they're trying to probably lay the groundwork right now for an impeachment if Democrats win the House, and this is maybe an issue they're going to play it off of. I don't exactly know, but the point is here, not only did you see that, but on top of it, right, the narrative here about he's on the list actually backfired, not only when the Epstein victims themselves were asked directly. They were basically forced to confront, hey, instead of making these vague statements about, hey, Trump and Epstein were friends, right? Did you actually see Trump do anything inappropriate in relation to Epstein? Not a single person said yes, right? On top of that, even an Epstein lawyer who spoke at the press conference appears to have gone off script by admitting that Trump actually helped the Epstein victims and helped take down Epstein. So that's why I say, right? And I've always said on this Epstein stuff, did the administration handle it perfectly? No. But I have taken flack for defending some aspects of it because largely a lot of the attacks here coming are completely bad faith, right? They're ridiculous. It is just Democrats trying to find something to pile on, like I said, maybe impeach him on in the future. And you really have to believe, honestly, that if there was a smoking gun here, if there was truly a cover-up going on, or there was this list just sitting in the DOJ, I'm not sure the Democrats specifically would be so on board with like, release this stuff. Chuck Schumer, you think he'd be a big proponent of it? No, I think the Democrats here essentially know that perhaps there is no client list, at least sitting in the Southern District of New York, as I've thought, right? Either it never was there or it got destroyed by the Biden administration, something, and Democrats can basically run to 2026 hoping that they can keep accusing there of being this cover-up without any actual evidence. And by the way, that's exactly what this press conference basically entails, right? That's what they're doing. But what I'm glad to see is that it would appear a lot of people are kind of seeing through what happened today. And so that said, we'll just run you through it and show you how ridiculous this whole thing was. Like I said, really bad faith. So before we get into it, guys, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. And subscribe to the channel if you are new. Subscribing is not only the best way to support our videos, but it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And with that said, so I mean, you can see, right, this all surrounds a resolution introduced by Representative Thomas Massie and Khanna. It's supposed to be bipartisan, right? Republicans and Democrats are coming together, holding a presser with the Epstein survivors and, proposing like congressional legislation to release the Epstein files, which is kind of problematic already because Congress just took action to release the Epstein files, and yet it was a nothing burger because it was the same Epstein files because they did release the Epstein files, but now they're saying, no, now we're going to do it through legislation. Like I said, it's a bunch of performative grandstanding. But anyways, to give you a true idea of how this goes, so you first of all have this Epstein survivor who says they will release their own list of names, right? Essentially here saying, if the government won't release the list, then we will release our list. And yet, if you actually sit here and take a listen, you'll notice they say they're going to name names. They say they're going to provide their own list, but they never actually do it. And this goes on for a long time. So check it out.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
Right, so they're saying they're going to release their own names. They're going to make their own list. Now, I'm not opposed to that. Sounds like a great idea, actually. I would like to know. I think all of us would like to have more transparency and really figure out what was truly going on with Epstein. If there's more to the story, then obviously it would appear was reported officially by the federal government this whole time. Okay, that's all great. But then why didn't you tell us? It's worth noting you had this entire press conference. They've been preparing for who knows how long to do this. The whole time, not a single name was named, actually, right? Of actual substance, as we'll show you. Where's the list then? We're still, it's been 12 hours after. So as Matt Walsh here points out, and is well put, right? I think the Trump admin should release all of its Epstein information, as I've said many times. But it is pure political theater to hold a big press conference with Epstein victims where they all speak cryptically about all the powerful people implicated in this scandal, but refuse to actually name any of them. Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's not that complicated, right? We know the names, but we'll tell you later is BS. Then why are you holding a press conference? What is this, a teaser trailer? People are making a game out of this issue on all sides. Extremely frustrating to watch. Yes, like I said, this is literally a 180 copy of the exact mistake that Pam Bondi made with the Epstein situation. Was to basically just hype all this stuff up. She did these teasers and then it drops and then there's nothing in it. Seems to me that's exactly the same exact playbook that the now Democrats and their coalition of Republicans who are, like I said, falling for this garbage doing, right? I said here, then why don't they release the names? We had an hour of speeches. Not a single person actually gave us the names that they keep claiming Donald Trump and the presidential administration are hiding. That's why I rightfully accost this thing as a gigantic political stunt. You cannot constantly scream for transparency and then in your big press conference about transparency, not be transparent. Like it's ridiculous, right? Let me show you another example of what we're talking about here. And yes, as we said, everything was cryptic. Because what one Epstein survivor here did say was that Jeffrey Epstein's, quote, biggest brag was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. Now, who knows if that's true, but for a moment, let's just even assume that it is true, right? Epstein kept bragging to people that he was friends with Trump. Well, notice in that accusation, there is no accusation of wrongdoing, that Epstein was actually, that Trump was actually involved with Epstein when it came to all the sexual stuff. No. but just throwing out this statement. Why? To muddy the waters, to make it say, like Matt Walsh is pointing out, right? Make everything cryptic, point it in a certain direction, because this whole thing is designed to be an anti-Trump op, without actually putting down any details on the record that would have to be tried in court, that could bring potential defamation suits to actually go and really seek justice here. No, they're just pointing it out and trying to frame it in a certain way. I'll show you more of this in a second, but take a listen.
With Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Go ahead.
So, of course, Democrats today took this statement viral, saying like, wow, Epstein survivor said this. See, he's guilty. And as we showed you, that's what the people in the signs in the back are holding, saying, oh, he's on the list, Trump and Epstein. They keep showing that photo everywhere, etc. But notice what's not in this statement. And it's an actual accusation that Trump ever did anything wrong. Actually, as a matter of fact, today, as you may have seen, when NBC News ran an entire special here with the victims of the Epstein, situation, right? Epstein victims here, they directly asked this question. And the answer they were trying to get, obviously. We, again, know why Democrats are running this whole story suddenly after 4 years of doing nothing about it. It's not because they want justice for the victims. They're just hoping and praying that maybe in some way Donald Trump will be implicated or that he's in the files. So that's why, of course, they ask here, did you see or hear of Trump doing anything inappropriate in relation to Epstein? So now that's a direct question. It's not, oh, let's speak cryptically. Let's say that there's names and then also hint that it might be a politician, but let's not actually be specific. It's not, oh, Trump and Epstein were friends. Direct question now. Please answer on the record. Did you see or hear of Trump doing anything inappropriate in relation to Epstein? Guess what they all say? No. The answer there is no.
I have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
Yeah, well, breaking news, guys. Democrats officially give up on Epstein scandal after they realize that it does not implicate Trump. Gonna take a wild guess there. It's coming very soon, frankly. But anyways, we also got, even in this very press conference, one of the lawyers of Epstein's victim, while taking questions or responding here, actually acknowledges the opposite. Not just that, Trump wasn't implicated, but that Trump, and by the way, this is a known fact. This is not new news, in my opinion. We've kind of shown you this before and talked about it before. But that Trump helped to take down Epstein and helped victims back in 2009. He was always cooperative with investigations. He called out Epstein publicly in some cases for being a creep. It's, of course, under his first administration that Epstein actually was taken down. And so, of course, that kind of does sort of destroy the entire narrative, even at the very same event that, oh, the signs in the back say he's on the list, right? This is all about Trump, because clearly that's not the case.
Thank you all for being here.
I'll go first and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me, but I don't understand why it's a hostile act. I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that. He didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then. He didn't treat this as a hoax. So at this point in time, I would hope that he would revert back to what he was saying to get elected, which is, I want transparency. This about face that occurred, none of us understand it. In fact, I don't understand how this is an issue that's even up for debate. How do you not stand behind these women after you've heard their stories and know that hundreds of them were abused, and it was only because files are being kept in secrecy? The world should know who he is, who protected him.
Well, that's a little bit of an oopsie on their part, but I'll give you the answer, right? And just to address, for instance, why Trump is calling it a hoax, or he's very aggressive or defensive in response to the situation. As the Epstein victim lawyer there points out, it's not because he's implicated, because even he's saying the opposite. No, he helped to take down Epstein. He's not implicated in this. The victims too, not saying he's implicated. It's the fact that he's rejecting here what is clearly a political stunt. That's why he's attacking it. That's why he's said that the Republicans who are going along with this are engaging in a hostile act, because he sees through exactly what this is. This is not some type of genuine call for transparency or we really care. It's an anti-Trump op, right? Why else do you put out these people to basically make these vague, cryptic statements about Trump, not release any names, not make any real accusations, just say blah, 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 hold these signs anti-Trump, and then don't actually give us anything of substance? You say you're going to release a list. You don't release a list. Which, again, is exactly the political stunt that Pam Bondi pulled. They're doing the same thing. Very interesting, because you see this long trend of Democrats, like Gavin Newsom particularly, always copying everything that Trump does. They're doing the same exact thing. They're actually copying the same exact mistake that Trump made on this issue, which is, say a lot, but don't actually deliver anything. That's exactly what they're doing here. And that's also why I say to the Republicans who engage in this, I'm not here to accost everyone's intentions, okay? Thomas Massie is an anti-Trump grandstander, generally speaking. Okay, I will say that about him. Marjorie Taylor Greene, not so much. It's possible she kind of went along with this because she thought, genuinely, this is about getting to the bottom of it. I support the transparency too. I don't know. I'm not in her head, right? But objectively, what happened today is they were used as political props. And very fittingly here, it's kind of hilarious, but you can see on this, I believe this is a news network. Yeah, Agenda Free, apparently. But one of the news networks here accidentally puts Democrat, right, D Kentucky, next to Congressman Thomas Massie as he speaks. And it's like, well, isn't that just so poetically fitting for what's actually happening here?
Standing with these survivors, and we're giving them a voice. And I want to close by thanking them. They are brave. I hope they encourage other survivors to come forward and to tell their stories. Not just of Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, but anywhere in the country. This is a message.
Yeah, I mean, I really wonder why Trump is mad at you guys when you guys literally spoke at an anti-Trump protest. I mean, look at the signs in the back. That is literally just an anti-Trump protest. Is anyone going after the other accused here? Is there an anti-Bill Clinton sign? Accused, not confirmed, but accused, right? Is there anti-Clinton, anti-Gates, another friend of Epstein? Anti-Stephen Hawking? No, because this is all just Democrat activists who are trying to exploit the situation. And yes, Trump is right to, first of all, see that this was a massive political stunt that delivered nothing, by the way. Okay, it was just as performative as Bondi's interview on Fox back earlier this year. But then secondly, be pissed off that members of his own party are falling for the garbage and going along with ultimately what is being here like a Democrat asset. That's why he's pissed off. Just to address the questions about this, right? And that's, by the way, the aspect of this he's calling a hoax. He's not saying the Epstein story is a hoax. He's saying that the way this is being weaponized against him, as you can clearly see, by the way, Republicans who claim you're being bipartisan right now, is the hoax. That's what he's referring to. Just to be clear. And I think it's pretty transparent what is going on when you have Representative Jasmine Crockett, of all people, now going out to praise Thomas Massie for going along with this. Take a listen.
I will have to tell you that I respect Thomas Massie. Clearly, we don't agree on a lot, but where we can find agreement, we do. And the reason that I respect him is because he always shows you who he is. He is what I would consider to be a traditional conservative. He believes in transparency. He doesn't believe in whatever Trump tells him to believe. He believes in things like fiscal conservatism. He knows who he is, and he never backs down. And
yeah, again, I really wonder what is going on here. I'm sure that anywhere Jasmine Crockett is involved, it's totally a good faith thing, and this is definitely not just a bunch of political grandstanding. To which I say, by the way, it is political grandstanding, because essentially what is going on here is that Massie is joining Democrat Representative Khanna in trying to pass a bill, right? Pass legislation that would mandate the release of the Epstein files. Except for the fact that, first of all, the administration already did release what at least are a form of the Epstein files, as you may remember infamously. But earlier this week, Congress already did the same. Actually, the House Oversight Committee, which is, yes, the Democrats are going to argue, it's controlled by Republicans. But that's not really accurate, because in this case, it was a bipartisan decision. They both subpoenaed it from the Department of Justice. received the Epstein files, and they said, okay, Congress is going to release the Epstein files because the executive branch, the president, the DOJ won't do it themselves. And so this week they released the Epstein files, and big surprise here, it was the same exact Epstein files as the nothing burger from the presidential branch that we saw a couple months ago. Big confusion there, right? But so essentially what has happened here, right, is, so let's go back to the beginning. My central thesis on the situation has always been that I think what really went wrong here is an issue of miscommunicating, first of all, what was actually in the hands of the DOJ. And as I've long made the argument, if there is this global conspiracy with a lot of elites and all this powerful people, they're not exactly just going to leave their tracks behind, which is to say, I don't think there's necessarily a client list or a list of names somewhere sitting in a document basically entailing like what all these powerful people and what they did. And if that list did exist, I think it's fully plausible that the Biden administration destroyed it and no longer exists, et cetera, et cetera. But this is all to say that when people say, release the list, I ask, well, what list? How do you know that it exists? Release the files. What files specifically are you asking them to release? The reason I bring that up is because now when you look at what Congress is doing, and Massie and Khanna are claiming this is such like groundbreaking, changing legislation, well, it's worth noting, right, that earlier this week, Congress already released the Epstein files. As Politico here points out, many of the files appear to be public court filings, blah, 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 blah. As usual, people talk about the redacted stuff. Her image and the image of the interviewer are blurred, so a lot of that redacted is, information about victims, etc. But these files were originally handed over to lawmakers last month, but Republicans and Democrats, it was bipartisan in this case, on the House Oversight Committee, took more than a week to privately review them. The committee's GOP majority said it was coordinating with the DOJ to redact information that could compromise the victims or ongoing criminal matters. Oh, so what you're telling me is that when this issue was handed over to Congress, Congress produced the same exact thing. But now you're saying, no, Congress is going to do it again. This time we're going to pass it as legislation. And I swear to you, this legislation will make sure the true list or the true files are revealed or something. This is, of course, coming at the same exact press conference when the victims are out there saying, we're going to release our own list, and yet they don't release the list. So what am I kind of combining all of this to say? It's a political stunt. It's grandstanding. And they've already largely lost, I think, good faith on this issue, which is why I find Khanna and Massie to, of course, be performative and ridiculous here. And yeah, this whole thing, as I said, a bad faith Democrat op. That's exactly what is going on. So with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. What do you think of this like nonsense you saw today? Do you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? Do you think there was something substantive that actually occurred here? Let me know. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.